After 20 years of rock, and how do you rate me? Poorly or greatly, everybody seems to be going for theirs lately. Your mad heads be needing money, so listen very close as I conduct this little study. See, it's funny to me, you can watch TV and give up your life trying to be all you can be. Childhood life, part 2. We continue where my home environment, as I remember it, was pretty good up to 5 years old. After my mom walked me up to kindergarten class, let go of my hand and put me in line with the other kids and walked away. That's when life really started. Yeah, I still remember that very vividly, being walked up to school by your mom, and then she turns around, lets your hands go, turn around and just walks away, walked into the distance. And you just there with a bunch of strangers, and you're in an environment you know nothing about. My mom and dad are now divorced, and I have a younger brother by the name of Marcus Davis, born April 23rd, 1972. My mother and I would go out to the car and try to go to the store, and the whole scene in the parking lot was like a scene from Good Times. Going out to your car up in the hood and trying to get out the parking lot was a true adventure. Me and my mom would go out, and there would be like 10 hood cats just out there hanging out. And when we tried to get out the parking lot and drive off, they would hang in the window. They would sit on the hood and on the trunk like it's a carnival ride. But it was crazy. Seeing how the hood dudes would act, I tried to do that with my aunt, right? She had this big Cadillac, things weigh a ton back in the 70s, and I was hanging on the window and fell under the car, and the rear wheel ran over my leg. My aunt said she felt the bump as it ran over my leg. I'm surprised my leg didn't break. But anyway, she called my mother and told her what happened. And my mother came down. I don't know if she knew I was injured or what, but when she found out that I was okay, she whooped my ass. She beat the shit out of me. My mother was hardcore, man, she was a real disciplinarian type of parent, but she whooped my ass for trying to act like the other bad kids. Bullies? Yes. I started to learn about that real quick. Yeah, bullying, man. You learn about that real quick when you're just a good-natured kid and, you're not considered a real fighter. And the dickheads pick up on that real quick. But most of my bullying came because we knew a lot of white families, because there were a lot of white families in the hood in the early 70s. And they would be like, man, why you be messing around with them white people all the time and shit like that, right? So that's the kind of shit I was being bullied for. So that shit started at a real early age with that race shit. So yeah. Living in the Harrison Homes public housing projects in the late 60s and early 70s, I was exposed to a lot of white families and kids. My family were real close to this white family. The parents were named Bob and Liz. They had 3 daughters. Pam, who was about 2 years older than I, and Tammy, she was the same age as I, and the younger daughter was Candy. And they came over one day, and the parents were in the kitchen drinking or whatever, playing cards. And Pam was like, hey, come in here with me in the front room or whatever, because it was dark in there. And I went in there and sat on the couch next to her. and she started playing with my dick. And at 5 and 6 years old, you know something's not right about that. And she was just squeezing the shit out of my little ass balls. Actually, the shit was hurting, but but the whole thing was interesting at that time. So really, my first sexual encounter was with a white girl. We played a lot of sports in the Harrison homes and the Taft homes, and I found out that I had a proficiency for sports. I was pretty good. Yeah, sports got me accepted by the other boys. Even the hardcore thugs, they accepted me because I can play sports. When the guys were like short a person and they needed another person to come in and play sports with them, I'm talking about the thugs, the hardcore dudes that went to jail or prison and all that shit. They would come and get me to play football with them and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So, I was respected for that reason. So, sports probably saved my ass. Living in the ghetto, you're gonna have some kind of life-altering encounter. Yeah, I still remember that night when I had forgot to take the trash out, and I had taken a shower, right? I took a shower and I was about to go to bed, and then my mom said, go take the trash out. So I put on a robe and my house shoes and I go to take the trash out. And two guys come from behind a car saying they're gonna rape me and this and that. As they're approaching me, my mother somehow yells out the door to come back in the house and put some clothes on. Now, for me, that told me that a mother's intuition is very real, because I think she sensed that I was in some danger. And from that point on, I knew that mother's intuition was real. I think she saved my life right there. Living in the projects is like a world of its own. I've never tasted racism until I went outside of the hood. That's when I got my first real taste of racism at about 4th or 5th grade. Yeah, living in the hood, you don't really sense racism because everybody's the same, really. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's broke, poor, black, or whatever. But my first taste of racism came in about 1974. I'm about 9 years old. My mother is letting me venture out now. So I would hang with my older uncle and his friends, the McGee's. And then one day we caught the bus downtown and we were going to a bicycle shop. We went in there and we were going to get some streamers off the rack. And the guy in there he started yelling, "Don't touch nothing in here, you fucking, N-words and all this shit." And I didn't know what was going on, but as we got out of there, after we bought this stuff, my older uncle and his friend told me that was racism. Around 1974, I'm about 9 years old, I believe, in the 4th grade, and my mother met a new man in her life. This guy, his name was Johnny Caldwell. He was about 6'5", 240 pounds. He was a big guy, and I still remember my mom telling us that he can whip our ass if we get out of hand, basically. And I'm sitting there thinking, shit, I don't want him putting his hands on me, so I'm gonna be straight with this dude, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, he's now part of the family now. So yeah, he's our stepfather.
I don't know. I don't know, man. It just keep going, man. And when I hear it, I just start flowing, man. We live in this crazy time in this 21st century. I think it's meant to be a time of awakening, spiritual growth. The devil's world is so sickening. Legalizing fuckery, future is queer. Pedophilia's been here. Fucking up the kids and all that. Devil need his ass whooped and sent back to hell. Cause that's where they from. I can see the truth like the prodigal sons.